If you had to guess what's worse for your long-term health, smoking or a bad diet, what would you say? Most people would probably point to cigarettes. But global health research tells a different story. According to one of the largest studies of diet and disease ever conducted, it's actually our food choices that are the most damaging, not just in terms of how long we live, but how well we live. Today, we're breaking down the worst diet for your quality of life, based on an international health metric you need to know about. Disability Adjusted Life Years, or DALY. I'm Dennis, a licensed fitness coach and German engineer. As someone who understands numbers and loves tech, I want to share my journey to get in shape and live a healthy and fulfilling life. What is DALY? It's a metric used by global health researchers to measure not only early death, but also the years people spend living with illness, pain, or disability. In simple terms, one DALY equals one lost year of healthy life. So if you die 10 years earlier than expected, that's 10 DALYs. But if you survive those years with chronic pain, fatigue, or limitations from disease, that also counts. DALYs combine these into one number to show the true cost of disease on both lifespan and quality of life. And that's exactly why it matters in the conversation about diet. According to the Global Burden of Disease study, poor diet is now responsible for more DALYs than tobacco, alcohol, or obesity. And while we often hear about what food does to our waistlines, what's far more alarming is what it does to our blood vessels, our organs, and our ability to function day to day. The connection between diet and disease is strongest when it comes to cardiovascular disease. That includes heart attacks, strokes, hypertension, and heart failure. These aren't just diseases that end lives early, they make people's life worse, and the way we eat is a major contributor. Based on the latest data from over 195 countries, researchers ranked the specific dietary patterns that lead to the highest number of lost healthy years of life, DALYs. What they found may surprise you. The worst dietary habits aren't just about eating too much of the wrong thing, they were often about not eating enough of the right thing. Let's take a look at the top 5. At number 5, a diet low in veggies. Now you've heard since childhood that you should eat your greens. Veggies provide fiber, potassium, and much more compounds that protect your heart, lower your blood pressure, and feed your microbiome. Without them, your risk for heart disease, stroke, and digestive problems, and certain cancers goes up dramatically. What's more, veggies are low calorie and nutrient dense, meaning they help balance your overall energy intake, critical for managing weight and preventing metabolic disorders. The data shows that globally, veggies consumption is far below optimal levels, especially in lower income countries and urbanized areas, where processed foods are more accessible. Number 4, a diet low in nuts and seeds. This might sound minor. How could something so small play such a big role in diseases? But nuts and seeds are incredibly rich in essential nutrients. They've been shown to reduce LDL cholesterol, improve endothelial function, and reduce inflammation, all factors that prevent heart disease and stroke. And yet, across the globe, most people don't come close to recommended intake. In fact, nuts and seeds are among the most under-consumed healthy foods worldwide. Their absence from the average diet is quietly contributing to millions of lost years of the healthy life every year. Coming at number 3, a diet low in fruits. Like veggies, fruits are high in fiber and loaded with vitamin C, potassium. These compounds help protect your cardiovascular system, prevent oxidative stress, and support immune function. The big issue with low fruit intake is that it's often replaced with processed snacks, sugary desserts, or refined carbohydrates, which are high in calories but low in nutrients. So instead of something that supports your health, you're getting something that damages it. And this is happening in every region of the world, from high income to low income nations. Now, before we move on to the top 2, think about your own diet for a second. How often do you eat a variety of fruits and veggies? Do nuts or seeds make you into your plate every day? If not, you're not alone, but the consequences are serious. The 2 most harmful dietary habits for your quality of life are not just common, they're rampant. And the science shows that fixing them could prevent millions of lost healthy years globally. Coming at number 2, a diet high in sodium. Now you might be thinking, wait, isn't sodium just salt? Not quite. Sodium is a mineral, and while it's essential for nerve function and muscle contraction, the amount matters a lot. Most people are consuming more than double of the recommended intake, often without even realizing it. It's not the salt you sprinkle on your food, it's the massive quantities of sodium hidden in packaged, processed and restaurant foods. Bread, sauces, canned soups, frozen meals, deli meats, these are loaded with sodium. When the ranking is based on mortality rate and not on DALY, it even comes at number 1. High sodium intake is one of the strongest dietary drivers of high blood pressure or hypertension, a major risk factor for heart disease, stroke, kidney failure and even dementia. It stiffens your arteries, damaging the inner lining of blood vessels and makes your heart working harder over time, and these effects are cumulative. You don't feel it day to day, but over years or decades, a salty diet quietly tears down your cardiovascular health. According to the Global Burden of Disease study, excessive sodium intake is linked to millions of DALYs each year. But even sodium doesn't hold the top spot. The single worst dietary pattern in the world, the number one cause of lost healthy years due to diet, isn't something we're eating too much of. It's something we're simply not eating enough of, and that's whole grains. At first glance, that might sound underwhelming. Whole grains? Really? But the data speaks for itself. Diets low in whole grains are the leading dietary cause of DALY loss worldwide. And here's why. Whole grains are a foundational source of dietary fiber, B vitamins, magnesium, and complex carbohydrates. They help regulate blood sugar, support gut health, reduce inflammation, and lower LDL cholesterol. Unlike refined grains, white bread, white rice, pastries, whole grains are slowly digested, stabilize energy levels, and promote long-term cardiovascular and metabolic health. But the benefits go beyond just nutrients. Whole grains displace harmful foods from the diet. When people eat more oats, barley, quinoa, brown rice, or whole wheat, they typically eat less processed junk, and that substitution effect has real measurable impact on disease risk. Large-scale studies have shown that regular whole grain consumption is linked to lower incidence of type 2 diabetes, heart attack, stroke, and colorectal cancer. And yet, across almost every country, people fall drastically short of the recommended whole grain intake. So why is this such a widespread issue? A big part of the problem is food systems. In many parts of the world, refined grain products are cheaper, more convenient, and more heavily marketed. Global agriculture has historically focused on high-yield crops like wheat, corn, and rice, but much of it is refined during processing, stripping away the healthiest parts. Add to that the fact that the whole grains often require time to cook, aren't as widely available in restaurants or fast food, and lack flashy advertising, and you end up with a global population that simply doesn't prioritize them. And the result? More cardiovascular disease, more diabetes, more years lived with pain, fatigue, amputations, dialysis. DALY is not just about dying early, it's about living worse, living with consequences of what we eat every single day. It's about the 58-year-old man who survives a heart attack but can't climb stairs without gasping for breath. It's about the woman who spends her 60s on medications, managing diabetes instead of traveling or playing with her grandkids. These are the real costs of poor diet. Not just how long you live, but how you live. The takeaway from this global study is simple. We need to flip the script. Instead of obsessing over cutting out carbs or fats or calories, we need to add in the foods we're missing. More whole grains, more fruits, more veggies, more nuts and seeds, and we need to reduce the massive excess of sodium that's baked into the modern food supply. Public health experts are calling for global food system interventions, better labeling, taxes on unhealthy food, subsidies for healthy food or reformulated processed food, and education campaigns. But on a personal level, the power to improve our quality of life is right here on our plate. Choosing oats over sugary cereal, brown rice over white, adding a handful of nuts to your snack, swapping out the extra salt for herbs and spices. These are small changes that compound over time. They don't just prevent disease, they help you live better and longer. So the next time you plan your meals, don't just ask, will this help me lose weight? Ask, will this help me live well for years to come? Because quality of life matters just as much as quantity, and it starts with what we eat. I already made the 5 worst diets for your health based on mortality rate. This ranking is slightly different. If you're interested in what needs to be done individually, check out this video right here. Thank you for watching, and until next time, this was Denis. Bye.